Hello everybody, this is Desmond2520 here, back again with another video. Today we'll be talking about the Fennec, or as I will refer to it and talk about now, and I will refer to it in the rest of the game, or the rest of this conversation, the Chris Vector, or the Vector 45, whatever you want to freaking call it. Whatever, it's a Vector. So the Vector is a SMG, chambered in .45 ACP, same round as 1911. It is meant to fire at a fire rate of anywhere between 950 to 1200 RPM, though generally they fall at around 1000 to 1100 RPM. Is supposed to be a police force SMG slash military SMG. You can pretty much it was able to be used by both, and is sought as a replacement to the MP5 and the UMP45 for a lot of things. At least that's what it's supposed to be made for. Okay, so this weapon generally can run multiple different mag types, generally those being they can run generally 40, 50 round mags or 26 rounds standard mags. Although there is a 13 round mag, I don't get why you would ever run that in any plausible scenario unless it's like a law thing. Either way. Yeah, so let's get on to some of the stats about this weapon. So the weapon does 40 damage to the head, 24 at long, or 40 damage up close, 24 at long range, 4 headshots. The body, to the standard bodies, like chest and all that, and arms will do 25 to 15 damage, and the legs will take 22 to 13 damage. So this weapon on average without headshots will be 4 to around, I think it's 8 shots to kill, which it seems extremely terrible, but it also has a fire rate to match up with it. So the stats chart and what it's supposed to look like online is it's supposed to fire around 1080-ish in the stats. That's what the stats portray it as. But, I mean a very big but, this weapon is coded to fire at 1080, but it has the issue of frame rounding, so it tends to be closer to around 1100 RPM, which is a little bit faster actually, but point still being. One caveat to this weapon is that it does have, it can run different magazines, specifically 40 and 26 round mags, but it also has access to the 45 hollow point 2-round burst mode. This weapon increases the attachment increases the damage so high it's not even funny. So the attachment does around 64 to the head and 44 to the body, and that's up to around 14 meters. That's about the same as the 4-shot range for this gun. Simply put, burst fire makes it to where it's a 3-shot kill, generally. If not, it might take 2 bursts. Well, it generally will take at least 2 bursts to kill, though. In hardcore, however, this weapon is a 1 to 2 shot kill at any range. Means that if you hit them in the head, at least once, you will always get a 1-shot kill with this gun. Outside of that, the 2-round burst version reduces your mag to 12 shots, which is actually one of the 13-round mags I was talking about earlier. Either way, let's go on to the more, I guess what you would call a strange stats. So this weapon in burst fire mode actually loses rate of fire as well, namely just because you're not full autoing. Okay. So for the final stats, this weapon is basically just your standard SMG in terms of sprint in, sprint out time. I'm not going to go over like all the minute stats on that and how the attachments work because A, I'm not too great at them, and B, I go more based on feel than anything else when selecting my attachments. I would think you guys probably do as well. Maybe you guys look online for stuff like that, but I tend to go more based on what I want in a gun and just averaging out than legitimately like just min-maxing everything. But overall, this weapon performs extremely close to a standard SMG in terms of handling. Although this is the slowest, or I believe it's slowest or the second slowest reloading SMG in the game. It's around 2.2 seconds, if I'm correct. Mind you, I don't have a stat page, so this it kinda sucks when I don't have a stat page to use, but you know, this game hates me. What was I gonna say? One thing I will say to everyone here is that if you really want to make this weapon fast, do not stack speed attachments. However, literally the stippled grip for this gun already makes it the fastest it can actually possibly be. So unless you're sticking on attachments that make it slower, I would not recommend running anything other than the stipple grip in terms of speed, just because it literally maxes out your speed, which is kind of ironic. Wish I could find the reload speed. Hold up, everybody. Oh, apparently I can't find the reload speed. That sucks, but whatever. As you guys can tell, I'm not very situated to this, but that's what happens when, you know, your stat pages suck ass. Either way. I guess I'll get on to my general thoughts of the weapon. What game modes you should play it in, what you should use it with, attachments, you know, the norm. So as for my opinion of this weapon, need I say more, is the most stupidly overpowered weapon in this game, and it's an easy button to mash for anybody. Simply put, it may not have the accuracy and stuff like that, the M4. It may not be like that grand, like, slam weapon like the M4 used to be, or like I said, a laser beam like the Kilo. But what it does have is a time to kill that is extremely fast. Even it's literally about the same as the base MP5. I believe it's 1 frame slower than the MP5, but the MP5 you also have to hit all 3 shots at once. As for this one, you just need the spray and you'll get around, you'll still end up getting a faster kill, or time to kill. The weapon does have high recoil, but it's easily managed with burst firing. And even with the lack of damage, the weapon can still perform fairly well. Yeah, in terms of like weapon stats altogether, I rate this weapon a 5 out of 5. Simply put, the only limiting factors of this weapon are its recoil, its range, and its reload speed, which all of those are easily manageable. Reload speed just means you gotta pick your engagements fairly well, and if you're having trouble with range or with if you're having trouble with range or you're having trouble with the recoil, simply put, just put on the longer range barrels, put on some grips, and you can make this weapon function a bit slower than an SMG, but extremely accurate bullet hose. Okay, now I'm going to go over how you should use this weapon, and there are actually 3 different ways to use this weapon, depending on what game, or if you're playing core, hardcore, so on and so forth. In core, this weapon you want to use as a close range, just dumps truck. You don't want to use it past like 20 meters, otherwise you're going to be basically shooting pellets. As for how you would like to use this weapon in hardcore, you can use this weapon the same way, but you can also use this weapon as a bit of a DMR. Specifically, if you're running the 2-round burst mode, you can run this weapon extremely well as just a burst fire machine. Like I said, generally it's a 1 to 2 shot kill, so with the 2-round burst, obviously you're going to get the kill in 1 burst. For anything else with the weapon, I would say just generally for attachments, it's whatever you find fits. This weapon can run any attachment in the game that I've seen. It's just down to personal preference, and the weapon works just fine. Although I will recommend 40-round mags as soon as you can get them, because of the low mag size. Either way, guys, hopefully you guys enjoyed this review. I know this one kind of sucked, but that's what happens when I don't have proper stats and all that set up. Either way, guys, I'll be seeing you guys all later. And yeah, hopefully your day goes well.